Huh. Huh? It's me, Kevin Hart. You're Kevin's Club now. Holiday season is about to be lit. Lit, lit, lit.
So you've hit level 30 and you've had your first taste of PvP and you got smashed into paste. You then realise that your gear is absolute garbage and you've got an unyielding urge to craft yourself the weapon to end all weapons, slaying all foes with one almighty blow. You look to the skies and bellow, "May the gods bestow the power of crafting upon me," and then nothing happens. So I'm going to explain to you how to get started with crafting. So this is going to involve obtaining crafting recipes, actually crafting the component parts for the final item, and finally looking at the experimentation options. So before I begin, I'd like to invite you to hit that subscribe button, because subscribing means that you'll be up to date with all the latest news, tips, and tricks for Crowfall. So initially it may seem overwhelming and seemingly complex, but when you take a few minutes to absorb what you need to do and actually run through the process, then you'll realise that it's not too bad. The main issue you'll likely face is that you don't have the recipes to make the items beyond the basic stuff. You've probably opened up the quick craft menu and saw nothing of use. You've likely found a general crafting bench and yielded the exact same result. And then finally, you've probably found a blacksmith's bench because that makes sense. That's where you'd craft weapons, right? But sadly no. You don't have the recipes to make anything. So how do you get the recipes? Well, this is because you lack the discipline. And your disciplines, these are the things that you can do. They're like training yourself in a particular craft. And where do you get the disciplines? Let me show you. So you're going to come across to this dude here, where you'll be able to purchase a variety of different crafting disciplines. And once purchased, all you need to do is equip it. So in my case, I've equipped the weaponsmithing discipline. So now when I come back to the blacksmithing station, I've accessed to advanced weapons. Now this is what I want. So I'm going to focus on the axe, because this is the weapon that I use. So that's what I'm going to use as an example. Now initially, when you look at the end result item, it looks pretty underwhelming. It's exactly the same stats as what you'd buy from an NPC. However, if you look at these other two weapons on the right hand side, these are actually weapons that have been crafted from this recipe. As you can see, the stats are higher. And this is because it comes down to the materials and the effort that you put into the weapon as to what the end result looks like. So there's a lot of steps that you need to go through in order to craft a weapon, and it seems a little bit complicated. Let me show you for example. So an axe requires weapon head, hilt, and shaft. Not too complicated. But then let's have a look at how we craft those. So we come into the one-hand weapon components, and the weapon head, metal bar, head mold, and some dust. Not too complicated. And then we needed a shaft and a hilt. So the shaft, pretty simple, just requires a metal bar. Now the hilt, requires a grip, a pommel, and a crossguard. So the pommel, metal bar, crossguard, where's the grip? There's no grip there. So for the grip, you then need to use the leather working. And so to make a grip, you need stitched leather. To make stitched leather, you need hide and sinew. And to make sinew, you need meat and dust. So there's a lot of steps there. But when you actually break that down into what is actually needed, you don't have a wide range of materials that you actually need. You're only looking at wood, meat, or dust and leather. That's it. There's not a lot there. So what we should do is start crafting. Let's go through the process and see how simple it is. And then we'll get on to experimenting with the weapon. So let's start with the weapon head. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to modify the weapon mold to change its appearance. This is not a necessary step, I just wanted to do this. So this is essentially taking the Minotaur style, I guess, and changing the mold. In order to do the weapon head, we need metal bars and a mold and dust. Right, so all processing, metal bars require non-basic ore, non-basic ore, non-basic ore times 6, and 6 coal. So let's start with the coal. We need wood and dust. This will give us 5 coal. Just going to pop a whole load of dust and wood in there just to make a load of coals. So there we go. There we have our coal on metal bars. Let's add our coal first. Now, with these, all ingredient slots must use the same quality of ore. But the thing is, you don't need to use the same type of ore. But you can make alloys with this. I'm using copper, copper, and iron. This produces as a metal bar. And this gives you certain properties. And this depends on the type of combination that you use. We're going to need a total of 5 metal bars. So I'm just going to quickly craft those. There we go. We have 5 metal bars. But back onto the head. 2 metal bars, a head mold with dust, and that was a successful assembly. Now this allows us to change the stats. Because we put a particular combination of metal bar in, we get to either opt to go into damage or into armor penetration ice, for example. And just for fun, I'm going to use this one. Now when it comes to the adding the risk, the way this works is that essentially each of these pips is an opportunity to increase the stats by a certain amount. So this bit here, this shows you how much of this stat is increased, and that's dependent on the quality of these. Now you can add risk to this. You have the base difficulty, the item quality difficulty, and the bonus per point. So with no additional risk, there's no bonuses whatsoever. But if you increase the risk, you will get 0.63%, for example, in this case, extra per point. The higher the risk, the higher the reward, but also the chance of you not getting anything whatsoever. Let's just for fun, we'll go with negligible risk. Now people will say that this is way too much of a difference. It said that you should go within sort of 10 of this, so I should be going no higher than 30. Whatever, YOLO.
Born in Roma, The Fragrances by Valentino.
I'm not losing my city to the delusions of some second-rate king.
Okay, so we had one failure there, and the rest was just basic. Well, these were basic and these were actually good. So what we can do as well is we can polish the lowest 3. So it will take this one and then 2 of these to re-roll them essentially. You want to spend 10 dust? Yes, I do. That's upgraded, and I think that one's the same. So they won't go lower. They will always go to the same or higher. That's giving me a plus 25.59% bonus to that particular stat. Let's take that. So that's one bit done. Now let's do the shaft because that's super simple. I'm just going to stick everything into armor penetration ice just cause. And now the hilt, we need a grip, crossguard, and a pommel. And now the crossguard. Critical failure there. It actually detracts from the stats. Let's definitely polish that. You don't have to polish it. I mean, it can get kind of expensive to do. That's a good result there, 38.6%. Now we just need to nip across to this other crafting station. We need stitched leather, which requires sinew. And that's in fuel. So we will put in meat and dust. So I already had 2 sinew in my bag, but you would actually need to craft, another ball of this. And the hide. Put that stitched leather in there and assemble. Okay, so this was a flawed assembly. This is the other crafting result that you can get. Now, this doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with it. It just means that you can experiment on it. So if I fix flaws for this cost, it will allow me to experiment on this. The other thing as well is that previously I had 9 pips to put in and now I have just the 1. This is in relation to your crafting stats. So for me with blacksmithing, I've got a high stat in blacksmithing. Because I've got a high strength, that increases my blacksmithing stat. I've put a lot into strength. And so that gives me the 9 points there. So that's where I get the 9 from. But with the leather grip stuff, so this comes under leatherworking. So this is my dexterity related stat, and I've not gone much into dexterity. So that's why I only get the 1 point there to experiment with. And I'm just going to put no additional risk just because I've only got the one opportunity. It would be a waste to have to polish just one. Right, okay. So now we have, I think, all the pieces that we need. Let's come back and... Right, so we have the head. We have the shaft. We have... Oh, let's make the hilt. Go for damage. I'm going to keep that no additional risk, actually. No, I'm not. I'm going to keep that negligible risk. If I could polish. Now we can assemble. I'm really low on dust right now, so if this is a critical failure, then that's crap.
Merry Christmas!
First of all, amazing.
Oh, this is lovely.
Finally something to actually be thankful for.
See, because I cannot fix the flaws in this weapon now, so I cannot experiment on this weapon. So that's annoying, but let's just take it anyway. So there we go. We now have a newly crafted axe, which, as you can see, the difference because of how I have put the points into things and the different components there. I've got armor penetration ice of plus 0.53%. But of course the damage is lower. This is partly because I haven't put the points into the damage spec specifically. That's based on the components. And also there was the flawed assembly at the last step that I couldn't afford to fix because that would have cost 200 dust. I didn't have that in my inventory. And I was aware of this. I just wanted to make it because that's just... I mean, it's garbage, basically. This is just simply for me to practice, to increase my experience in blacksmithing and to demonstrate to you guys. But all the same, you know, it is what it is. Now you can see there's actually the difference in the appearance there as well. And that was because I used that appearance changing component in terms of how it looks. It's not a huge amount different. Personally, I don't think it's really worth the extra 500 gold. But, you know, if you're into that, then you're into that. The one thing I probably should have mentioned earlier as well is in order to get those head molds, you just need to come to this dude here, pick your head mold there, and if you do want to change the appearance, your appearance compendiums are here. So that would cost you 600 total. So yeah, that is the long and short of it. Hopefully I've kept your attention up until this point. If I have, if you have learnt something, then please maybe give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Hopefully you kind of get on with how I explain things. Try and explain things in a way that I would like to be explained to. So hopefully this sort of style works for you. So maybe hit that subscribe button. Now there is other steps to crafting and we're going to explore these in later videos, so make sure that you hit that bell notification icon so that you can get that notification as soon as those videos go live. So thank you for watching and I will see you in the next one. I'll take a look at a couple of these videos that I've put here on the screen for you.
boy, Hyun here with League of Legends. Now you're gonna be saying wow every time you play this video game. Now look at this, I'm a blind monk. 1 slap, I'm farming some gold. 2 slaps, you slap on some friends, and look at the more you slap, the funner it gets. You don't have to switch any game. Now you like your friends, but you hate finding it. Play solo, meet new people, play with your friends to build up that teamwork. Now I'm an introvert too, but get the friends in once in a while. League of Legends, one of the most played games in the entire world. You wanna play a cute furry devil that shoots darts in your eyes? There's a champion for that. You wanna play an undead crying zombie with depression? There's a champion for that. You wanna play a fat evil cyborg who has his legs replaced with mechanical spider arms and shoots a hook from his belly button and grabs onto people and sucks them into an orifice where they're grinded up alive? We have a champion for that. Over 140 champions to choose from, each with different playstyles and abilities. And you know we can't do this all day. If you slap on that link below, I'm gonna give you this game for free. We're gonna make the world lol again, 1 slap at a time. Download and play League of Legends for free.
This holiday, US Cellular is giving everyone something to cheer about. Right now, choose any phone from any brand free. Plus, save big with unlimited data for just $30 a month. Feel the locally grown joy from US Cellular.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Dilbo Dabgins. That is Dilbo with a B. I stream on my Twitch channel every single day at 6 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/Dilbo Dabgins. This video is all about day 1 of Crowfall, launch guide. This is mainly for the new players, people that don't necessarily know what to be doing on day 1, because it's kind of overwhelming. There is a lot to do, and if you want to be as efficient as possible, this video will hopefully help you do that. I am recording this about a week before launch, so there might be some updates in between here and there. But if there are, and you're watching something in this video and you're like, hey, that's not in the game, come over to my Twitch stream, ask me, and I'll be able to help you out. And also, before we get into this video, make sure you hit the subscribe, comment, leave a like, share this with your friends that are also checking out Crowfall. And I got that 10% discount code down below for you as well. So let's jump right into this. Okay, so you loaded up Crowfall. It is 6 a.m. Central, July 6th. You're gonna hit the enter button. It's gonna take you right to your character class, but I'm just going to quickly pick an Athari assassin just so I have some good movement so I can go around the world quickly. You know, you're going to create your first character, and then what I honestly suggest doing is, if you bought a backer pack that isn't the very base one, you most likely will have a mount available to you. So you want to make sure you hit that inbox button and then redeem that mount that you have, because you can get the mount through the tutorial, but this mount's faster and it's cooler, right? And it's better looking. And also, if you have sigils in here, which are equipable items that kind of give you a little bit of buffs, get those out as well before you get into the world. What you're going to do next is you're just going to hit this play button down here, and then you're going to click on starting worlds, and you're going to click on the God's Reach world that, you know, pertains to you, basically where you are. This is just the beta right now, so these are the only servers that are available, but I'm going to go into the East server, and we're going to get our first steps in Crowfall started. And I'm going to kind of walk you through the very beginning, maybe what you want to do, and then I'll go into a little after that. I'll go into like kind of the long-term goals for maybe your first day in Crowfall. All right, so we're loaded in here. This is going to be the first thing you see. There is Guillermo. I think I said that right. The gerbil guy, the Ganetian. This is how you begin the new player experience. I suggest, if you've never played Crowfall before, that you click on this quest giver and you start the new player experience. Now, you don't have to completely complete it if you don't want to, but this will really give you that natural MMO questing experience, take you through the leveling process, teach you things about the game. Make sure you read. I know you hate reading. I hate reading too, but there's a lot of really good information in the NPE talking about the systems, the lore, how to craft, how to harvest. There's all types of stuff that you'll learn in the NPE. Will transition you from what normal MMOs are to what Crowfall is, because Crowfall is not a normal MMO, and that's kind of the entire goal of the NPE, is to transition you from that mindset of a theme park MMO into what Crowfall is. So if you decide to take that NPE route, you'll follow this quest line. Make sure you keep an eye on that question mark up at the top of your screen on your compass. That's basically your carrot, and that's where you're going basically the entire time. So then the next step would be to talk to the Sentinel of Earth and continue the quest line from there. What I'm going to do, because I'm a veteran, and most veterans will probably do this, is they'll walk down here to this tree area, right? Inside of here, there is a level me up pedestal that will level you up to level 25 for free if you have VIP. So it's been confirmed that every person that buys a backer pack or buys into the game for the first month, you get a free VIP anyways for the first month. So everybody will be able to have this. This will automatically take your character to level 25. If you don't feel like doing any questing and you don't feel like learning anything and you're just saying, fuck it, I want to go PvP, I want to learn the game on my own, screw all this other stuff, I'm going to figure it out. Hey, I watched some Dilbo Dadkins videos. I don't need the NPE to teach me. Dilbo taught me everything I need to know. Then come over here, hit the jumpstart button, go to level 25, and then this is where you would start. And then also, say you don't have VIP and you're watching this way after launch day, this vendor here will sell you a jumpstart tome for 40,000 gold. Not that much gold. It seems like a lot in the very beginning. It's really not. Also, what I suggest doing is come over here and grabbing this bandaging buff because you're here. Might as well. You can use bandages faster for an entire hour, and now you know you got a little bit buff when you're out in the world. So once you're level 25, you know, you can come in here, you can start building up your character because you're level 25. Might as well use some of these talent points that you got. I'm gonna just, you know, randomly put some stuff in here. By the way, keep in mind that little tip in a few of my other videos. You want to make sure you're using all the stat bundles before you apply your attribute points because you can possibly go over cap and you don't want to waste any type of stats there. So, I mean, definitely get your character leveled up. You're level 25 now, or if you're going through the NPE, you'll be leveling up throughout the entire way. During some point, during the NPE, or once this time comes, you want to get into a guild because this game is not a game that you can really play by yourself. Whether you start a guild with a couple buddies and you're doing small man guilds, or you join a bigger guild, you need to join a guild. I personally run a guild called Dab Squad, which is my brand for my stream and everything like that. But it's all focused on helping you learn the game. It's a stepping stone guild too. So if you want to join, learn the game a little bit, get your feet wet, you know what I mean, have a little bit of camaraderie in the very beginning, and then leave and join another guild, that's perfectly fine. Or you can stick around and hang out and help make Dab Squad a really strong guild. But what you can do is my guild's going to be open on launch day. So all that means is on this screen you'll have the ability to be able to search for Dab Squad, DABB or DAB, and I'm sure it will come up. And you hit the join button, and then as soon as you have that, you're going to have access to the guild chat, and then go ahead and start asking your guildies to group up, get into a group, and because you're going to have to level up from this point from level 25 to level 30, or once you hit the NPE, if you're doing the NPE, you'll hit level 25, and then you'll have to go into the PvP zone. So that's kind of the next step here, is that you're going to go into the PvP zone once you hit level 25, whether it's between doing the NPE, you might get a little higher level if you're doing the NPE, or if you get that tome, you'll be going into the PvP zone once you hit level 25. But before you go in there, you want to try to get a mount. Oh, look at that mount. Snowy's on the cool mount. You want to get that mount out of your bank that you redeemed, right? So now you can move around faster, also get those sigils out of there, and equip those. So one thing you can do, if you use that level me up tome and you didn't do the NPE, you don't have any gear. See, I have nothing at all because I used that tome. Well, outside of the temple, there is a ranger sanctuary. Down here, there is this class trainer NPC that will tell you about your class, kind of the ideas behind how you're playing it, and this guy will give you an advanced weapon that has a little bit more damage than what you would normally have. So this is the class trainer. You talk to him, he'll give you an advanced weapon. Oh, and because I'm an assassin, he gave me some poison as well. So now you're doing, a lot more damage than you would have been doing if you just try to go out into the PvP zone with no gear at all. If not, you did the NPE, you most likely will just already have some gear that probably is better than that. What's interesting is that I thought this guild recruiter was going to give me some gold. It might be a bug, but before, when I was testing this, the guild recruiter gave you 1,000 gold for being in a guild. So it might be a bug that's not giving you gold. I'm not sure what it's going to be on launch day, but definitely just check with this guild recruiter. If he does give you gold and you don't have any gear because you used that level me up tome, go over to the advanced vendors inside of the temple and buy yourself some gear, because it will be stronger than the novice weapon that the class trainer gives you. So inside of the temple over here, there are all these vendors in the back over here. These are all advanced weapon and gear vendors, and these will be better stats than the novice weapon and gear that you had from that class trainer. So if you do get gold from that guild recruiter because you joined my guild or you joined another guild or you were in a guild, definitely go over there and buy some of that before you go into the PvP zone. All right, so now you're at the point where either you have gotten to this point naturally via the NPE, or you use that level tome and now you're level 25 and you need to know what to do next. So you come over to these portals over here, which is on the south side, which is on the south side of the Earth Temple. And each one of these, if you do the NPE, they take you to the Sun Temple and the Moon Temple. But this gate right here takes you into the PvP zone. So if I show you the world map here, so based on what faction you are in, based on the faction that you start in, that portal will take you to one of these 3 starting PvP zones. When you start off in these PvP zones, you're going to be here between levels 20 and 25. And what I really suggest doing, especially if you don't have any gear because you use the level me up tome, is go into these zones and start capturing outposts and doing these camps. You see how these camps are level 25 to 28? These camps are mob camps, and they will drop gear for you and gold, right? So you want to make sure you go and farm. Basically, you're in the farming game, right? You're going to farm from level 25 to level 30 now if you use the level me up tome, and you'll come in here between level 25 and 30 and you'll farm, and you're going to level up, you're going to get some gear, and you're going to get some gold. Keep in mind, these outposts on the map here do different things. So one's a respawn outpost, so if you die you can respawn there, and it has a bank. Another one is a buff outpost, so if your faction owns it, you can get a buff from it, right? There's also a bank out in the open world. That's what that symbol looks like right there. And then there are these other portals inside of the starter worlds with the other faction symbols on top of them. These take you into the other starter world of God's Reach. When I keep on saying starter worlds, I mean starting PvP worlds. These take you into those. So if you want to fuck around and you're level 25, you're like, man, I want to go I want to go PvP, man. I ain't trying to do none of this grinding question shit. I want to go PvP. I mean, you still don't have to grind to get levels. Go into the other zones, man, and there's going to be people PvPing. So definitely get a little PvP under your belt. Have a good time. Grind up from level 25 to 30 and get some gear, get some gold, things like that. Now keep in mind, on every single one of the starter zones, there is this kind of safe area. So here's the sun one, and if I click on the moon one, you see up here in the north, there is another kind of safe zone over here. If you walk into here and you're not of the same faction, you're gonna get killed, because there's a zone of death that it kind of puts on you. Oh, and another really good thing, this actually reminded me, these hot zones, look for a hot zone, because this will give you extra loot on day one. Well, every time you go to a hot zone. But if you're level 25 and you're farming level 30, go to a hot zone, because now you're doubling the loot you would have and you're grinding. So that's a really good thing to do, especially if you're looking for PvP right away. The hot zone won't be in every single one of the starter worlds, so you'll want to be able to, you'll want to find that and go to it. And the way to find that is you would hit the leaderboard, go to the event schedule, and look for the hot zone that has this orange chest. You can also just filter by it, right? So here's the hot zone. So this will be where the hot zone is on launch day. Not necessarily this one, but that's the one. You'll find the active one during launch time, and that's where you could farm if you like. All right, so what if you don't want to farm? What if you don't want to PvP and you don't want to do any of that, and you just want to get right into harvesting? Well, you can totally do that. You're going to need some gold, though, to be able to get the exploration disciplines to be able to go out and harvest properly. So you're going to have to go get a little bit of gold. You're going to have to go farm a little bit in those starter and PvP zones to be able to get some gold. But then as soon as you do, you'll come over here to this exploration rune, and all you need is 325. to be able to get the harvesting disciplines. So get 325 gold. And if you do the NPE, you'll actually get one of these for free. So that's another reason why you want to do the NPE. You'll get one of those. So if you want to just harvest, you'll get some gold from farming, and then you'll come buy whatever you want to start harvesting with, or 2 of them if you really want to. I'm probably going to buy 2 of them. I'll probably buy the logger on day 1, and I'll buy the skinner on day 1. Those will probably be the 2 that I'll start off with. You'll go ahead and equip both of these. And now what these allow you to do is craft the intermediate version of the tool. And to do that, you have to come over to the general crafting bench. So I'm going to walk over here real quick. General crafting station. And this will give you the ability underneath rune making to make the intermediate harvesting tools. Okay. So what you'll do is you'll have to go out there and you'll get, well, you craft the basic axe, right? For instance, this is just with wood, and you'll have wood. You punch a tree, get wood if you don't have wood already, right? Craft the basic axe, use a little bit of ore that you've probably got from the NPE, or you craft a basic pickaxe, go get a little bit of ore, and then make your intermediate tool, and then go start harvesting to get your green discipline. In my harvesting video, I talk about upgrading your runes, right? So those vendors only sell the gray version, allow you to craft the intermediate tool, and now you're going to want to go do the discipline, that action, to be able to get the green discipline. That should be your goal for day 1, is to get at least 1 green discipline for what you're doing. You'll probably get more than that, but at least 1, right? And the only way to get the disciplines, the green disciplines, is to farm anything ranked higher than 1. So don't go out there punching just knotwood trees that are rank 1, right? Go find the higher ranked stuff, and those will all be inside of the starter PvP world. So you don't necessarily have to go into Sky Point yet. You can just stay in the starter PvP worlds and go out there and harvest and get your harvesting up a little bit, you know. So you'll be out there, you'll be harvesting, you'll be grinding a little bit, get to level 30, and then once you're level 30, if you're focusing on trying to, you know, get stronger and not necessarily harvesting is a lot more simpler. You just go out there, you harvest, you continue to harvest, and then follow my professions guide to be able to figure out how to upgrade and continue that process. But once you hit level 30, that's when you want to go into Sky Point. Okay, so Sky Point is kind of the PvP show of God's Reach, of the starter world. This area, you drop 100% of the gold on your character, so be careful with this. If you come out here with gold, you're going to drop 100% of it. By the way, all of the starter worlds, you drop 50% gold when you die. Inside of Sky Point, there will be higher ranked nodes, so you'll have better chance at dropping disciplines and better loot and better harvestables. And this is where all the PvP will be. And this is where the higher camps are. You see level 30 to 32? This is where the higher camps are, and you can get better gear. Okay? And what you can also do, if you really want to, I don't necessarily 100% suggest this, but once you hit level 30, you can come over here and you can buy a white vessel from this vendor. And this vessel will get you the ability to go to level 31, and then you'll go farm at those camps in Sky Point, because you can only get XP from mobs that are your level or above. So you'll have to go to camps in Sky Point to be able to continue your leveling process and go up your level. And then really what you want to do is, so you're out in Sky Point, you're farming, you're PvPing, get with your guild, do guild stuff, and really, man, the first night of launch, Sky Point's going to be a party, man. It's going to be a good time. All of these keeps and these forts are going to be up for siege. There's going to be some big groups roaming around. There's going to be a lot of fighting, okay? Get some people in your faction. Make some friends, man. Get in a big group. Go PvP. This game is about PvP, man. Go fight some people. Or if you want to harvest and craft, start crafting, start harvesting, start that process. Try to get the best, the best you can in day 1, because that will just give you a little bit of a start. Me personally, my goals for day 1 are this. I'm going to make multiple characters. I'm going to have multiple green harvesting runes. I'm going to do a good bit of PvP. I'm going to try to get blue gear on all of my characters that I can. And my goal is to be able to craft a bow and a quiver by end of day 1. And just and also a little tip, this is in one of my other videos, but if you're struggling to get blue gear, you can use this vendor. This vendor can RNG drop you a piece of blue gear. So I'm going to buy one. I got a green, unfortunately. I'll buy another one, see if I can get a blue. One more time. I don't have enough gold. So that possibly can give you some blue gears. So if you're struggling to get gear, use this vendor as well. Okay, so the very last thing you could do on launch day, especially I will be doing this because I'm running a guild. I'm gonna start making my Eternal Kingdom. Your Eternal Kingdom is literally a place for you to kind of call home. It's your own kingdom. You can build it to do whatever you want. If you want it to be a market, start that process. Start putting down the parcels. Start crafting the vessels and and all the things you need to be able to turn it into a market. I'm gonna have to get a bunch of crafted boxes and stuff for storage for my EK, things like that. But your EK is another good little thing. Say you're burnt out on a little bit of PvP. You've been PvPing like all day, right? Go into your EK, chill out for a little while, build some things in there, lay down some parcels, invite some people over, maybe do a little crafting, maybe do a little bit of scrims inside of your EK, 1v1s, things like that. At the end of the day, your first day of Crowfall is going to be a lot of fun. I mean, if you're really interested in this game, do not miss out on the first day of Crowfall, because that's where all of the hype will be, man. It's going to be so much fun seeing the world just full of players and having all of this interaction between everybody, making friends, the guild drama that's already going to be happening on day one. It's going to be such a great time, man. I hope you guys learned something from this video. Hopefully this helps you kind of get, okay, this is my checklist for day one. I told you guys kind of what I'm working on. And hopefully this helps you out. If you need something, if I didn't answer a question in here, you don't understand something, make sure you go over to my Twitch stream and ask me there. I'm going to be doing a 24-hour live stream on launch day, and I'll be live for 24 hours. I'm going to be giving away 24 copies of the game, a bunch of mounts, VIP packs. We're going to have a hell of a lot of time, and I'll be live for the entire day. So if you're lost, come find me and I'll help you out. All right. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I hope you learned something, and thanks so much for being a part of my community. I'll see you guys next time. All right. Peace and love, everybody. Peace and love.
Most modern MMOs have their own take on the usual questing, exploring, and dungeon crawling, with player versus player combat as an afterthought. But Crowfall skirts all of that entirely. Instead, it focuses on relatively short PvP campaigns that last for at least 30 days, seasons basically, that are meant to culminate in all-out warfare by the end. If you stick with it that long, you might even experience a siege for a keep or a castle, Crowfall's largest pieces of real estate, and if you're especially lucky, you might even earn enough materials and gold through these sieges to eventually get to build your own realm. However, much like the similarly PvP-centric EVE Online or older games like Dark Age of Camelot, it's unlikely that the average person will ever get to make a dent in that realm-building endgame without joining the most powerful guild on the server or being willing to pay for the privilege. Crowfall's single best feature is its character creator. Among the 12 fantasy races and 11 classes are some genuinely interesting picks, like the giant Stoneborn and the gerbil-esque Ganetians. All of them offer totally unique abilities, and the class system is versatile, allowing you to switch your role on the fly by slotting major and minor disciplines in and out at any time. However, all that choice doesn't always amount to a great experience. Whether you have any fun in Crowfall is determined by how much you're willing to grind. There's an introductory leveling arc from 1 to 30 that encompasses the tutorial, and it's pretty short in practice. The thing MMO fans have to be aware of is that this tutorial is the only place in Crowfall in which you'll find any quests at all. And even then, they only amount to basic run here, do this kind of stuff at best. After that, you can join a faction and run around in the Skypoint zone and casually gank other players. But this is boring since Skypoint is a small zone without much room for any kind of tactical engagements, often leaving you running in circles while you capture the same points and kill the same group of players for loot and gold. A step up from Skypoint is the faction versus faction game mode called The Shadow, which is theoretically more player friendly than the guild versus guild focused endgame, but still ends up falling flat. It's a hurdle to even communicate with your other faction members since you need to go through Crowfall's clunky chat system to figure out where anybody is, and that's if they choose to respond at all. Even if you do manage to coordinate enough support among your faction members, you still need to wait hours or potentially days for the next keep to become available to siege. Given that the rewards for winning a campaign are so meager, it's easy to spin your wheels in the shadow for hours with very little to show for it. As it stands, the real endgame is supposed to begin in Crowfall's guild versus guild area called the Dregs. Again, if you're the kind of MMO player who likes to go solo most of the time, you need not apply. In fact, everything in Crowfall's guild versus guild area is designed to be effectively inaccessible to solo players. But the shift into joining a guild, let alone finding one that's both welcoming and active, is jarring when first ascending out of the unclear and monotonous tutorial section. Okay, so let's assume you've gotten your group together. It still doesn't seem like there's much to do besides rove around the open world and gank smaller groups of players while capturing outposts and attempting to dominate parts of the various disconnected zones located across your server. The only two meaningful alternatives to this are sitting in a circle and harvesting ore and wood for hours to build your guild stockpile, or farming the same boring elite enemies and bosses for loot. That'd be fine if any of those systems were fun to engage with. At least as a melee DPS character, combat here suffers from button mash-itis, where battles often boil down to spamming every attack on your hotbar. Crowfall's battles lack any type of deliberate pacing since the number of classes and abilities in the wild are so varied and unbalanced that there's no real rhyme or reason besides do the most damage and don't die. This is no different than Elder Scrolls Online's combat system in theory, but your attacks don't even need to land in order to do damage. You can simply hold the left mouse button near an enemy and it will eventually die. In Crowfall's best moments, it's slippery, and at worst, it's brain-numbing. Crowfall might have been onto something here with its player versus player focus, but the unfortunate reality is that there's a deep, empty divide between the repetitive tasks that make up the nuts and bolts of what you're actually doing moment to moment, compared to the theoretically much more interesting Eternal Kingdom system and siege events. Those are only really available to hardcore players. Yes, it's possible for a casual group to eventually work their way up to building an empire in Eternal Kingdom or competing over castles in the Dregs, but good luck with that. On paper, you can earn it, but in practice, it'd take weeks of organized effort and grinding in the wilderness for a reasonably sized guild of at least 30 to 40 players to even touch upon the endgame, let alone win a campaign. Sure, you can always join the biggest guild on the server and coast on their success, but that's hardly a great solution considering that the whole appeal of Crowfall in the first place is building up your own guild and guiding it to success. If you want to circumvent that amount of dedication, you can always just disappear into the PvP light Eternal Kingdom, where no faction warfare happens whatsoever, and buy your empire via Crowfall's cash shop. But even purchasing VIP status, which costs at minimum $15 per month at the time of this review, gives you a meager amount of premium currency. It's not much compared to the price of even a single house for your custom kingdom. But at least these zones look great. Crowfall's minimalist art style is colorful and clean, making it simple to parse in the heat of action. The map is difficult to make odds and ends of, though, and that makes coordinating with your allies tougher than it should be. On top of that, Crowfall's in-game text chat system is aggressively inconvenient to use, and the built-in voice chat system rarely works at all. If you can, go with Discord or some other app to talk to your friends as you play. Crowfall is a hardcore PvP MMORPG that centers around deep guild and faction building systems, but it doesn't do much to draw in anybody beyond its most loyal and dedicated players. Sure, if you simply want to run around and kill other players while joking around with a group of friends, this is as good a place as any to do that, if you're okay with the clunky interface and similarly clunky combat system. The open-world faction-based PvP systems that it's built around are clearly designed to pull everybody together to contribute toward a broader goal, but there's so much grinding involved that it feels like the most engaging gameplay is reserved for only the most dedicated. For more fantasy games you can play with friends, check out our reviews for the Elder Scrolls Online Blackwood and Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance, and for everything else, stick with IGN.
This is a threat like none our galaxy has faced before.
Billions of lives will be at risk.
Not on our watch. Let's fly.
we often ask ourselves, like, how fun will this be to play 100 times later?
Yes.
Not only the first time. And
Yeah.
generally, the rule was that anything that's only fun once should only be experienced once.
Yes.
And I guess now with the extra permanent beam helper, it should drastically increase the damage per second output.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
I think Ixion's gonna have a bad time. Yeah.
Yes, we're gonna have a bad day.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. So, I'd like to introduce myself. So, my name is Harry Kruger, and I'm the game director of Returnal. And with me today we have...
Hey everyone, I'm Greg Loudon. I'm the narrative director on Returnal. And yeah, really looking forward to checking out this speedrun movie.
Yeah, so today we're going to be looking at a full game speedrun by the OK player. And yeah, just full disclaimer, we haven't actually seen any of this footage before. So this is our first time going to be following this playthrough, and OK's already jumped in. And yeah, we'll try to follow the progress and provide some commentary along the way about the game as well. So it seems like it's already picking up some speed.
Yeah, I think for me, being the narrative and the cinematic director, after putting so much effort into cinematics and watching them skip, but I understand OK played the game normally the first time, so it's all good. But yeah, very fast movement so far through a lot of content that took us quite a long while to get right. So
yeah, so clearly we can expect a lot of reliance on dash and just powering through the levels as quickly as possible, prioritizing, of course, the content that's absolutely necessary. Yeah, let's see. And of course, this is the onboarding part of the game. So I guess once we unlock the full moveset of the player, we can see a lot more kind of shortcuts. And yeah, curious to see how this goes. I mean, as you know, the game is procedurally generated, or the levels are constructed in a way that's randomized every time. So it's actually pretty intriguing to see how one can do a speed run for content that's not always the same, right?
yeah, true. So curious to see like how the world builds on Atropos, OK, and how they take advantage of it or don't. So it can make things a lot quicker or a lot slower. So let's see.
Yeah.
So this moment with the Titanops, this is like it's kind of like welcome to Returnal moment. A lot of players, more than likely, probably won't be able to defeat Titanops the first time, but it looks like OK's nailed it. So, but for us, it was a really important moment to kind of set the tone and the atmosphere, and also the challenge for Celine. She's just crash landed on Atropos, and everything's hostile. So that was like a key hostility spike, you could say, and a good welcome to the experience. Wow, that was cool.
Yeah, very smooth.
Like a pick up and shoot at the same time.
But yeah, I managed to dispatch the Titanops really quickly there with some really calculated headshots. So
awesome.
Really cool. Okay, yeah, and this is something I'm really interested to see as well, because we do have a pretty diverse range of weapons. And of course, every time you play the game, it's pretty much down to luck what you will find in that run. Since this is coming from a fresh save, you can of course prioritize certain weapons if you memorize what they're unlocked. But really curious to see what kind of weapon choices OK is going to make for, getting over some of the bosses, for instance.
Yeah, an interesting thing I just saw is, so we have the area scan in Returnal where if you push R3, you'll basically get like a pulse, so you'll be able to see where doors are. I noticed that OK just used that for a way we didn't expect, that basically like managed to see the doors, so knew where to run, when to leave this sort of gate in between. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, very much so avoiding the combat, but obviously I think Returnal is so much about like the flow and the experience, so yeah, it's interesting to see all these jumps and skips. And yeah, it's cool that we have the timer in the settings as well, so we can already see it on the right hand side, the run cycle. So there you go, there's the area scan. So obviously OK's played before, so it's been spamming it a bit. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, went through the...
Okay, so got health.
Yeah.
Got the Silphium.
Oh man, this is moving pretty fast.
Yeah, burning through the overgrown ruins. It's been really great, like, thanks to everyone who's played Returnal so far, but it's been awesome to hear all the stories of people's journeys through the game. For some people, it's just an experience they can kind of breeze through. For others, there's been some like social media stuff of people that have spent like 20 hours in the overgrown ruins to finally beat Freaky at the end. So I think it's been really awesome to hear all your stories, and yeah, thanks so much for playing. It's great, and it's kind of what we wanted. It's a really, I think, flexible game in that sense. It can be as incredibly challenging, but I think once you get it, you kind of get that see the matrix mode. You can really fly through it, as you can see like OK's doing right now.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's designed to reward kind of persistence and patience in a way.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, every time that you play the game, it is different. I mean, you will find different encounters, different room configurations, different weapons, and it's interesting to see how each player has had their own kind of story of how they've experienced the game.
Exactly.
And of course, reaching this level of skill and knowledge of like the game systems and the levels is just, I don't know how many hours it takes someone to reach this level, but yeah, this is clearly not the first time OK has played this game. So yeah, and now we just unlocked the dash, the melee as well.
Yep, the trophy and blade.
Yeah, so that opens up the so-called like DMJ, like the dash melee jump kind of combo. That's that kind of fast jump that is good there. So
making full use of the translocators. So
yeah,
I think that's another. It's like part of it for us with Returnal when we were designing it was it is like just like Selene, you come onto Atropos with very little information. You have your Astra technology, but then you need to learn the world. So obviously OK's really learnt Atropos, knows how to use the translocators, knows how to use the blade, has really sort of mastered the experience, whereas other players, this could take hours, as we said. It could take some people 20 hours.
Yeah.
OK's doing it in 6 minutes, so...
Yeah, 6 minutes to reach Freaky.
But this is something that OK really needs to... Obviously, OK needs to beat Freaky pretty fast.
Yeah. And you do the kinetic rifle?
Yeah, one thing I would recommend if you're a fan of Returnal and you want to... One thing we're really proud of is like our storytelling and our like layered storytelling, but all of the names in Returnal mean something. I won't tell you what this means, but I would say that Freaky isn't just something cool. I'd say it's maybe worth a bit of research and you may see some Greek mythological names, but
yeah.
Well,
a little melee, yeah. That's pretty cool. Yes, we have a bit of that really close to Freaky, then because the projectiles are spawned from higher up, they can't reach you immediately there. So
Yep. Health is looking a little bit like the suit integrity is a little bit low, so potentially curious when the Silphium is going to be used.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. Probably now.
Interesting, yeah. Interesting to see that maybe the fastest strategy for dispatching Freaky is the melee focused. So that's the maybe best damage per second that you can end up dealing.
Yeah, looks like it.
But yeah, clearly landing some headshots made quite a big impact there as well.
Yeah, and obviously, like for this, Freaky for this moment, this was also like really complicated for our VFX team to kind of look into all the different, obviously all the bullets that are everywhere that Returnal's been really renowned for, but also for the VFX. So as you can see, the mist kind of simulates, so it goes around the player, and the mist is actually, to me, it's like a character in the story, as is like Atropos. It's a character in Returnal. Obviously, we'll have to see if we get to watch any of the cinematics to see the full reveal of the story. But I think if you know what I'm talking about, you know the mist and the fog, it has a bit of a connection to Selene and Selene's story. Crimson Waste Key. Yeah, no, makes sense.
need to prioritize the absolute essentials. So fascinating to see what kind of things we prioritize here.
8 minutes, 45 seconds to get ready to go ruin. That's a lot better than me. Yeah, I think for me, like working on Returnal with the team, and it's getting so much time to play the game. Even when it came out, I obviously had the retail version. I had to finish it one more time, so I was pretty fast, but not this fast.
So it's interesting because I think the Overgrown Ruins, it has a slightly different level structure compared to the Crimson Waste. So it is just this cluster of and it's interesting that the ruins of course can be entered in many different directions. Looking back to the Overgrown Ruins, you can have some within 4 input points. So memorizing those and maximum, let's say, traversing those does take a lot of time and mastery, which is important. Shifting now to Crimson Waste, this has a slightly different level structure with kind of like, let's say, 3 acts. So here we have like the first segment or the first phase of the level, which is the outdoors area. Then of course you go indoors and you have the ascension, and then you have kind of like the climax of the boss. In terms of level structure, this is a little bit more predictable perhaps compared to the ruins, but still requires quite a bit of mastery to identify all the shortcuts to prioritize, of course, what weapons, what for your loadout.
Yeah, that was interesting to pick up the and obviously, I wonder why it was worth the time to kind of go and scan and yeah, I think for us as well, it's really important to each world that we have on this profession to have that variation. So if you do spend a lot of time in the Overgrown Ruins, when you get to the waste, it's fresh and challenging and new, and it's kind of a way for us to show more diversity and also explore the different layers of levels in a game. Just rather than every world is just another version of the Overgrown Ruins, we really want to do something with this special. Yeah, but still curious on the whole system.
And here there seems to be a bit of an exploit, if I'm reading this correctly. Yeah. So I think what happened is, so you pick up the other weapon that has the alt fire of the beam.
Oh wow! Yeah, you're right.
If you're shooting that and then you swap weapons while shooting that, then it stays on.
Oh no!
So wow.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be interesting.
Well, okay, now it will make sense. Yeah. This is definitely not the way to play Returnal, but it's a fast way. Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think that's always the fun and maybe the difficult part of watching some of these when you see just things that slip your attention as a developer. And
wow, it's awesome! It's just like wrecking ball.
Jesus.
It's nice that OK is breaking everything to make it more exciting.
Yeah.
And that's one thing you may not notice when you play Returnal. Like, there is some nice destruction around if you can find it. So. Right. Yeah, I was looking at the health, thinking it could go a bit wrong. Oh. All right, 12 minutes.
Yeah, really cool momentum for sure.
Mm.
And I guess now with the extra permanent beam helper, it should drastically increase the damage per second output.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
I think Ixion's gonna have a bad time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna have a bad day.
Yeah, for sure.
Not what he signed up for.
All right. Oh wow, look at that health bar. Nice. Yeah, sneaky. Well, yeah, good work to align this.
I never get tired of seeing those bullet patterns.
Like that. Yeah, I love the, I think the music by Bobby Krilic and Axon Cloak in this boss fight is like some of my favorite. I think it's just really driving. It's, to me, it's kind of like freaky when you start the game, you're like, wow, okay, this is Returnal, and then this is like turning it up to 11, just And I think it's a real moment when you get that accomplishment and you can nail it and you beat it. It's a really great moment, I think, for players.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's so amazing to just, as you were saying earlier, Greg, just follow player stories of how they progress through the game, and you know what bosses they get stuck on, and what kind of strategies they try to overcome them, and just the sheer elation many feel when they overcome them is just it's been amazing to follow. Actually. Yeah. Of course, OK is making it look very
easy. Yeah. I remember the first time I built it, and I was heart pumping. It was awesome. Even in like the early development stages, I was like, this is going to be awesome. Like it, when I think we had like some of the placeholder animations in, and you could get the scale and the pacing. It was like, this is very cool. And even just placeholder bullet patterns, I could get the vibe. And then when you get all the art in and the music and everything else going together, it really works out to be a really cool symphony. So
yeah, I really love how this boss is kind of utilizing some new tricks. Of course, like we have those damage shapes, like those expanded rings, and those barriers in the previous attack that lasted, I think, 1.7 seconds because OK just completely floored Ixion with that. But really great to see all of the bullet hell elements coming to the forefront here and taking the front stage in these battles. So pretty quick. Okay, so now we're gonna get the hook shot.
What's happening?
Oh. Okay, a bit of a delay there.
Yeah. Too fast, okay. Really cool use of the hook shot. Like super in the zone flow.
Yeah, I think the utilization of space has been one of our key kind of like design principles, I guess, when we design the levels, of course. And we know that especially in the combat areas, and even here with just the light exploration, we have paced a lot of the hook shots to assist with like this fast traversal. And of course it offers both a lot of strategic possibilities, both for being offensive and more aggressive in your playstyle, but also as a quick escape route if you just want to get away. But really cool here to see how it's just chaining the hook shots and just gliding through the level.
I think something that we always asked ourselves as well when we were developing Returnal is like, it's not just about it being fun once, it needs to be fun again and again and again. So there was a lot of precision and a lot of iteration and tweaks to really make it fun every time. The hook shot's the right spot, where if you can chain it, you can. The first time you play, you may not get it. You may have to jump, you may be slower, but to really allow you to kind of, knowing that the game is about repetition, it's about like understanding the cycle, understanding Celine's story, it was really important for us.
As you said, Greg, I think we often ask ourselves, like, how fun will this be to play 100 times later?
Yes.
Not only the first time. And generally, the rule was that anything that's only fun once should only be experienced once.
Yes.
So for some of the more introductory kind of rooms or these kind of slower paced moments, we allow players to experience them at their own pace the first time, and then they are effectively removed from the loop, so we can focus on the more intense and engaging portions of the game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, really cool. And this is of course from a fresh save. So this is a first run with all of the cinematics and everything, and of course we're skipping the house sequences. But and I guess a lot of the other cinematics as well that are crucial for the progression. But here we have the beacon, of course, so that was a necessary aspect.
That's true. With my narrative hat, I'd say you got to do the houses as well. But there's I think there's a lot of cool stuff in the houses. If you haven't played Returnal, then it's something that's a really interesting part of how we try to explore Celine's character and let you literally like experience it firsthand. But it doesn't seem like we'll see him this time in this playthrough. But and the logs. We've seen a lot of Celine logs.
But it's cool to see that the game, the way that it's been structured, it does favor, let's say, a speedrun style playthrough quite well.
Yeah.
And I think one of the key decisions there was that we wanted to keep the narrative, of course, rich and deep, but also fairly unintrusive in like the main kind of like flow of the game. That's why, of course, the houses are entirely optional. Yeah. In a way, and yeah, if you just want to focus on like the gameplay and the flow and finding that forward momentum, then the game allows you to just.
Good morning, good evening. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Dilbo Dabgins. That's Dilbo with a B. And in this video, we're going to be going over a bunch of tips that I've learned over my 800, 900 hours of playing Crowfall. These are all things that the game doesn't necessarily tell you. They're just little tips, one-off things that, you know, it's going to be really good that you know for when you do start playing Crowfall. All this stuff is going to be extremely helpful for you and hopefully, you know, help you guys along through that learning curve that Crowfall has inside of it. So thank you so much for clicking on this. We're going to be jumping right into this, but before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You know, you do the bell, you like the video, leave a comment down below. And I stream every single day over on my Twitch channel at 6 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/DilboDabgins. If you want to ask me a question directly, make sure you go over there, hit the follow button. I also have a 10% discount code for Crowfall down in the description. Make sure you click that link. Helps me out, gives you guys a kickback, and yeah, so I appreciate you guys a lot for clicking on this, and let's jump right into the video. All right, so let's get into these tips here. I know I'm wearing a different shirt and recording this at a different time, but these first tips are all going to be about the lobby and the EK. So first things first, your inbox here. When you click at the top, these are all of the mounts and rewards and stuff you have for your backer copies or your Kickstarter rewards, stuff like that. If you redeem everything, right, it fills up your entire vault with everything inside of that you just redeemed, right? So now I have 79 slots used out of the 200 that I have inside of here, which is not very good. So make sure you are only redeeming the things out of your inbox that you actually are going to use. So another tip about your vault is that you can access it anywhere across all of your characters, as long as you're inside of one of the starting worlds or inside of the EK. Especially inside of the EK, if you hit B, you can open up your vault from anywhere inside of the EK. While you're in a temple, you have to actually go to the bank inside of the temple, inside of God's Reach and stuff. But then another tip is to have a mule to be able to store everything that you maybe don't want inside of your account vault. This will give you extra space, have an entire character that you basically just fill up their inventory for, and you have, you know, a bunch of extra slots because you have a mule character that is able to carry all this stuff. So one way to be able to find gear, say you're looking to gear to buy from other players, there's no auction house inside of Crowfall, but what there are player worlds that can be set up as individual markets. So if you come to player worlds inside of the lobby tab and you just go ahead and you maybe search for market, you'll find places called marketplace. You'll find shops, maybe not shops, but I know, like, for instance, the bigger EKs like Thrasher's Lawn, and there's a trader there. Maybe it's not up right this second, but there are multiple different trader EKs that will exist that you can go ahead in there and find player vendors and buy gear from. And then also inside of the Guild vs. Guild campaigns, there is a free city that, if I show you the map here, inside of the free city, inside of Dregs, this map will have player vendors inside of the free city castle, so players can sell things in their EKs or in the free city castle. So another thing is that your vault is account wide. You can access this vault from any single character that you have created inside of anywhere inside of the EK player worlds or the starter worlds. And inside of the starter worlds, you would just go into a temple. You would go to the Earth Temple and find the bank, which would be located in this southern area right here of the Earth Temple. There'll be a bank there that you can access your entire account vault from. Now, you cannot access, however, not access your vault inside of Dregs, which are Guild vs. Guild campaigns, or Faction v Faction campaigns, which there aren't any running right this second. But these have their own banks associated with them. When entering a Dregs campaign, you cannot bring in anything that isn't equipped or things that you can equip. So if you look at this screen here, it says your currently selected character has equipped items. To import these items into the campaign, it will cost 16 import tokens. Would you like to succeed? Now these are things that are only equipped, and I can only bring in other equipment. So if I had more equipment in my inventory, this import tokens would go up. Every single campaign has a limit on the amount of things that you can bring in, but that is an adjustable rule. So other campaigns could possibly have nothing inside, nothing that you can bring in. Inside of Dregs is the only place your account vault is not accessible. Your Dregs bank is completely separate from the rest of your account until you export those items from Dregs. So I'm going to go ahead and put a few items in here, and I'm going to show you guys how to export things next. So another quick thing is, if you don't want to have to completely unequip everything or move everything out of your character's inventory when you're pulling them out of Dregs, as long as you have slots available inside of your Dregs bank, which has cap 300, as long as you have slots available, you can just unlock your character from the Dregs campaign, and it will automatically remove everything from that character and add it to your bank. See how now I have 20 things in here when I had 6 before. So now I have, for this individual campaign, I have an unlimited amount of tokens that I can use for exporting. So now I can, I can select as much stuff as I want and then go ahead and hit the export button, and then will automatically move all the way into my account vault. Now, another thing is, you don't necessarily have to move everything out. These slots here are all individual banks that can be linked to campaigns. You can move things out from these banks even when the campaigns are over, but you cannot join another campaign if you do not have one of these slots open for a bank. So if you had all of these full and you try to join a campaign, they would ask you to delete one of these banks out of this UI. So another quick thing is that your characters in Crowfall are not bound to any world. You can move your characters freely from every single server. Right now, I am inside of God's Reach, which is a starter world. This server is technically in the EU, but I can log out and go ahead and join the NA server if I like, and I'll show you that now. So as you can see, my current Nasari Assassin is inside of the God's Reach EU too. If I just wanted to go ahead and go right back into that server, I could. I could just hit into campaign. But what I could do is move this to another world by hitting the play button and then coming and hit God's Reach US. And this is just another starter world, the same exact world that we were just in. The server's just in a different spot. But your characters can jump between any world that's available. Alright, so continuing on, this is the very first quest giver you will get in the game. This starts the tutorial of Crowfall. Levels 1 through 30 are basically just a tutorial, and this quest line you start here will take you all the way through. But you do not have to do this if you do not want to. There will be multiple different ways to get to level 30, and I'll be actually making a fast level guide here soon, and that should be up before launch. But if you want to learn the game, I definitely suggest starting the NPE, talking to this NPC here, and going through the quest line. But you can stop at any time you want. You can literally just say, I don't want to do this anymore, and go grind mobs, or whatever it is you want to do. You can do that. You do not have to do the new player experience if you do not want to. So another thing is this NPC right here, Zaharis, right behind him, there is this pedestal. When you use this pedestal, this will give you a buff called Leisa's Gaze. I'm not sure if I said that right, but this increases your bandaging bonus by 5%, which allows you to bandage faster. Also, if you have VIP, you can use this tome right here to respec your character, or you can come to this vendor right here and buy a tome of respec for 75,000 gold. And then also you have a level up pedestal here and take your character instantly level 25. Like I said, the NPE and 1 through 30 are literally just a tutorial. So getting to level 25, it's just a quick way to get through it. If you've already done the tutorial, if you've already leveled multiple characters, that's how you would do that. Or you can use 40,000 gold to buy a tome and do that here as well. Also found by this big tree is that you can change your faction right over here. So you can click on either one of these flags and change your faction. But now keep in mind, if you're inside of a guild, your guild's faction is the faction you're in, and you cannot change it unless your entire guild changes its faction. So a cool NPC that is everywhere throughout the NPE experience, when you're leveling between levels 1 and 30, you'll find these priestesses along the map. When you talk to them, they'll tell you a little bit of something interesting, a little secret that's hidden in the world. If you track that down, you'll find something really cool. So definitely pay attention to these priestesses and go see what you can find. So this vendor right here with the purple and the question mark, this vendor will give you a random piece of gear. It could possibly give you all the way up to a blue war tribe gear, which is pretty good gear. It's not terrible by any means. So if you want to test your luck on trying to get something good and you got some extra gold, go ahead and try to roll this a few times and see if you can get something good.
Something to actually be thankful
So you can duplicate items via factories. You take your item, put it into the factory here, and use the resources that it's requesting to duplicate it. Every time you do duplicate an item, it uses the item's durability. So eventually you will have to recraft this item because it will completely break. And you cannot create duplications from duplication. So the original item is actually extremely important to keep on you to be able to outfit your entire guild when necessary. There's also an enchanting system in the game. So you open up this UI, you put in your item, you ask for the certain resources that it needs, and you can enchant your weapon with different types of enchants. There's things that add damage, things that subtract weapon weight, things that add buff for harvestings, and then you can also use this system to transmog your items to be able to add cool visual effects. So in Crowfall, you cannot repair gear. Your gear will eventually completely break. This is to make sure crafters and harvesters are always relevant, and it actually is really stimulating for the economy of the game. One thing you want to make sure you do is before your gear completely breaks, it's still worth full value in gold, so you can sell it to a vendor and get the gold even when your gear has 1 durability left on it. Your durability will have different levels based on how you got the gear. So War Tribe gear has way less durability than something that you crafted, because as you're crafting, you can put extra durability on the item so it lasts way longer. When crafting, you'll see this blue icon on the UI. When you hover over it, it tells you the different types of resources that you combined and what it will come up with. So for instance, animal bone, when you put it into this, will create powdered animal bone. And each one of these types of resources change the outcome of what you're actually creating. I'll put a link down in the description to winterblades.net, and what they have on there is the combinations of every single type of item and what that will turn into. And you can see the types of items that you need to maybe to create the specific type of item that you're looking for. There's going to be things that do buffs to healing, and things that do buffs to damage, and things that do buff to your overall, type of damage, penetration or slashing or crushing. So you want to make sure that you're combining your materials properly to be able to have the final outcome on the crafted piece of gear that you make. A few tips for just combat in general here. You lose durability while you're in combat. So as long as you're, in combat, you're losing durability on your gear. So we're at 620 right here, and I'm going to swing a few times. I'm in combat. Wait for it to actually go down. Hold on. So we were just at 620 durability on this piece of gear. Now we're at 617. So just while you're in combat, you lose durability while you're fighting. You can also gain ultimate by auto attacking the air. So if you see my ultimate in the bottom over my Q button right there is not filled up, but as I'm attacking, it is starting to fill up. So if you know you're about to get in the fight, it's good to try to make sure you have your ultimate, and then you can you do a little bit of auto attacking in the air. You'll go ahead and fill up your ultimate meter. but also the ultimate fills up over time. So as we're sitting here, it's going to slowly go up. You see how it's moving? So your ultimate does go up over time as well. Some classes you never really have to worry about not having your ultimate. You'll have it the majority of the time. But some classes you just kind of have to make sure before you go into a fight, you will get, you know, you have your ultimate so that way you're able to fight on, you know, the best way you possibly can. So another thing is you cannot cast abilities or switch your bars. I don't have multiple bars on this character, but you cannot cast abilities or switch your bars while you're auto attacking. So as I'm auto attacking, I'm trying to use my one ability here, and it is completely not working. So you want to make sure, you know, if you're like, why is my abilities not firing? That's most likely why you're auto attacking. You can also not use abilities while you're jumping in the air. So make sure, you know, if you're like, why isn't something working? You're not, you know, you're not accidentally canceling some of your abilities by either jumping or by auto attacking. So a tip for bandages: when you're in a fight, using bandages can really actually save your life. And most of the time you can use a bandage no matter what, unless you're getting hard CC'd. So I'm going to attack this cow here, right? I'm going to start fighting him, and I'm going to start using my bandage. If he decides to hard CC me, he will knock me out of using this bandage. But as you can see, I'm not being knocked out of it at all as I'm bandaging.
What are you doing here?
I'm the new manager here.
I'm the manager.
No.
Oh.
Somebody didn't read their email. They didn't get the memo.
Wow.
Yes, sir. Where you going? Now how good they came out. It's a little too tall for me.
Yeah.
No, don't hold it. That's my height.
You can't do that.
Should everything be a free sample? Curbside pickup. That's in and go. You just keep coming in.
Yeah, but you did this conversation. Bam!
That's not it on my meat. Let's go.
Thank you.
He just blinded me there, but that wasn't a hard CC technically. And you can also get out of bandaging if you roll. So to demonstrate how hard CC will knock you out of your bandage, I'm gonna go ahead and try to aggro this boar and see if he will try to come over to me and hard CC me. Although that was his hard CC ability right there. God damn it. There we go. So that knocked me out of my bandage early, barely early. But hard CC, so anything that you have to retaliate out of, anything that knocks you over or moves you away from the spot you're on, will knock you out of your bandage. Otherwise, you can continue bandaging as you see fit. So a lot of people wonder what sprinting is for. So sprinting only happens while you're in combat, and it's key bound to the left shift to start off with. So I'm holding down left shift and it's not doing anything, right? But as soon as I get into combat, I'm going to hold it down, and you see how there's another animation. I am moving slightly faster and my stamina bar is going down, but it will instantly stop as soon as you leave combat. So if you're wondering what the hell shift is or what the hell sprint is, that's what it means. It kind of helps you inside of fights, catching up to people in short little bursts. Next little tip is auto attack combos. So every class will have a basic auto attack that they do, and most classes have a combo that happens based on your auto attack. So for instance, a champion, your third strike, what it does is when you hit somebody with it, it reduces the effectiveness of healing that the target receives by 25% for 15 seconds. So make sure when you start playing your class, you look at what your auto attack combo is, because you could be missing out on a really big buff that you can apply to people by not understanding what your auto attack is actually doing. So another tip about AoE abilities: if I hover over my ultimate here, which is an AoE ability, you'll see on the right side, top right, you'll see the circle with 6 meters and then the dots with 5 after it. What that means is that 6 meters is the area around you that AoE will hit. And then that 5 with the 3 dots, that's the number of people, the max number of people that AoE will hit. So just so you know, when you're doing AoEs, keep an eye at those 2 UI elements to know how many people via your AoE, what it will do. All right, so the next tip is about weapon weight. Every single weapon has a weight stat. So for every 10 weapon weight, it adds 1 second to your cooldowns. If you're a pip user, so if you're an assassin or a duelist or a Templar, that will add 1 second to your cooldowns for using those pips, correct? Every 10 weapon weight is minus 5% basic attack damage as well. So the heavier your weapon is, the less attack damage you're doing. When you're dual wielding weapons, your offhand is just really a stat skill, but weapon weight correlates with this. So a good rule of thumb is to have, your main weapon, it could be heavier, but then put on the lightest weapon with the best stats that you possibly can on your offhand. So for abilities that pull people towards you, there are elevation issues with that. So if somebody is above you or below you, sometimes when you're pulling something towards you, pulling a player towards you, it will not work properly. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to cast a net on a Titan or use a chain pull on a knight. So a few tips on auras. As you see, I have Vengeful Aura highlighted here. Now this is a buff that goes to my entire group, right? But auras don't stack. So if I'm running Vengeful Aura and someone else in my party is running Vengeful Aura, they don't stack, right? So only one is getting used. Also, every time you go to a rune gate in the game, be sure to reset your auras because they don't continue through the rune gates. And then also, if you're a dual bar switching character, if you have 2 bars and you want your aura to continue to be able to be usable, you want to have your aura on both of the bars. Otherwise, it will turn off after a few seconds when you switch to a different bar. Another quick thing is that some abilities can be casted while they're mounted. As you can see, my throw hurlbat here at the very end, it says this power can be used while mounted and dismounted. So it's a good thing if I'm going to chase with somebody and I want my mount and I want to be able to hit them with this hurlbat to slow them down so I can catch up to them, it will automatically dismount me, put me into combat, and then I can instantly use a leaf ability or something to catch up to them. This next tip is about CC immunity. So every time you use an ultimate in this game, you have 5 seconds of CC immunity, but then also you turn blue, right? So you see how my character is blue? This means I am CC immune, correct? So every time I use my ultimate, I have 5 seconds CC immunity. Now, this is a good way to know because your enemies will turn blue as well. So if they're blue, you don't want to be casting any of your CC abilities because they'll just be completely immune to it. So now we're going to move into the UI section of these tips here. First things first is the events tab inside of the chat window. One thing to keep in mind is while you're out in the open world, there'll be outposts and forts and keeps and castles that people are taking. And this is a good way to know what is going on in the world. Also, when people pick up pigs to run, which are ways to get materials, that will be posted inside of the events tab. So it will tell you who's doing it, what faction they're a part of, and where on the map they are. So R14. So I just told everybody that, yo, I'm here, come fight me. The next piece of the UI element I want to talk about is the siege schedule. So if I go to the leaderboard here in the bottom right, when I open up the map, it tells you the event schedule. These are all of the forts, the hot zones, the keeps, the castles, everything inside of this server that is going to be attackable and when. So everything has an active, the date tells you if it's today, if it's tomorrow, where it's at, how many capture points and penalty loss you get, and who it's owned by. You can also filter everything. So say if you want to just find all of the hot zones, you can go ahead and filter, and here are all of the hot zones that you can go participate in. And hot zones are longer lasting things that give you double loot, and they're big, PvP areas. To see your friends list in your guild UI, go ahead and click this social tab on the left hand side. This will show you your friends list and your guild. You can also open this up by hitting P as your default character. One tip I like to do inside of the settings menu is change my camera mode inside of the gameplay tab to always ranged or always melee, whatever feels better to you. Adaptive can get a little bit confusing when you're in fights based on when you trace swap and things like that. The camera will be moving in and out to try to put you in what the game thinks is the best way for you to be playing. But I don't suggest doing that. I suggest picking one and sticking with it. I personally like the ranged one. I feel like it gives me a better vantage point, and I like where the crosshair is when it's on always ranged. I'll go ahead and switch it to melee so you guys can see. Melee, it's kind of like right over your head, right? But when I go to always ranged, it's kind of to the right.
Come fly with me, let's fly away. Let's fly away. Let's fly away. Come fly with me, let's fly, let's fly away.
Discover your polo, Ralph Lauren.
Oi, Hyun here with League of Legends. Now you're gonna be saying wow every time you play this video game. Now look at this, I'm a blind monk. 1 slap, I'm farming some gold. 2 slaps, you slap on some friends, and look at the more you slap, the funner it gets. You don't have to switch any games. Now you like your friends, but you hate finding it. Play solo, meet new people, play with your friends to build up that teamwork. Now I'm an introvert too, but get the friends in once in a while. League of Legends, one of the most played games in the entire world. You wanna play a cute furry devil that shoots darts in your eyes? There's a champion for that. You wanna play an undead crying zombie with depression? There's a champion for that. You want to play a fat evil cyborg who has his legs replaced with mechanical spider arms and shoots a hook from his belly button and grabs onto people and sucks them into an orifice where they're grinded up alive? We have a champion for that. Over 140 champions to choose from, each with different playstyles and abilities. Now, you know we can't do this all day, but if you slap on that link below, I'm gonna give you this game for free. We're gonna make the world lol again, one slap at a time. Download and play League of Legends for free.
There's also some other settings I want to show you. So there is a exit cursor mode on player movement. This is checked on by default, I believe. If you want to be able to move around with your UI open, go ahead and uncheck that. There's also the restart open windows when entering cursor mode. So whenever I close and reopen, other than your settings tab for some reason, but when I close and reopen, it will open back up the windows that you had open. So if you're constantly looking at your talents, you can just keep them open and continue to open up the UI. The Me tab in the bottom left, this is where you can see that everything that is kind of happening to you. And for right now, this is where whispers will be. So if somebody types /tell and then the person's name and then the message, this is where your whispers will be. So make sure you keep an eye on the Me tab. So when you're talking to a vendor, you don't want to have to continuously right click and click yes whenever you're buying something or selling something. So you can hold down control, right click, and it will automatically buy and sell things whenever you click on. Now there's no second guessing this. So as soon as you click on it, it's gone. So make sure you know what you're doing when you're control clicking really quickly. Another part of the UI that is not explained very well are the buffs and the passives. So whenever you have buffs, everything will be on the right side of your screen. See how that vengeful aura tab moves over to the right, but when I open it back up, it moves to the center and I can hover over it and it will tell you what this buff is. You're going to have in fights, you're going to have lots and lots and lots of buffs and debuffs. So you'll be able to know, you'll be able to see what you have. And if you're curious, hover over that. It's gonna be hard to do in the middle of a fight, but that is how you would figure that out. And then also there are all of your active passives. So if you're not sure, if what some of your passives are doing, or even if you have a passive, this is where they all are. And you can hover over each one and it will tell you exactly what it does. So there are multiple different types of outposts on the map. I'm at right now what is called a respawn outpost. And at the respawn outpost, there are these banks that you can open up so you can go ahead and pull things out of your vault or inside of your dregs bank. So these are really good to have, and they're places to respawn along the map. When you're capturing any outpost, you want to make sure you're kind of staying within this circle here, kind of close to this campfire, and that's how you start capturing stuff. As you can see, when I leave this circle, I stop capturing. But a good way to know what type of outposts are outposts is they'll have, based on the top of monument is added. So everything that's a respawn outpost, I'm not sure if they all always say respawn outpost right there. So just in case, they're always this guy with the crown in one hand and the sword. And then buff outposts, which are god outposts, always have the god's name and look a little bit different. So that one's archons, And then this one is the Valken Outpost, right? So when you go over there, you can gather a buff from interacting with the totem that's there. So hot zones are these zones on the map that are up for a long amount of time. And when you're in there, they give double the loot. You can see all of the hot zones via going to the event schedule, checking for just hot zones, and you'll be able to see when they're all up. Crystal Springs is in the Solarium at V20, which is right here. When I go over here, there'll be a bunch of mobs here. Lots of probably PvP because a lot of people will be farming there. There'll be double whatever that type of area gives. Crystal Springs, for instance, is a really good skinning zone, right? So you'll be able to have a lot of mobs there to skin, so you can get double hide compared to everywhere else in the world. So when I talk about running pigs or doing caravans, what I'm talking about are these pig locations. So on the map, there are these green caravan pig locations, and each one of these will provide a different place. If it's inside of a forest, these will give wood. If it's on top of a mountain, they will give stone. If it's down inside of a crevasse, it will give ore. And sometimes they don't have these icons on them, so it's still good to know where the pigs will be. And what you do is you take that pig to a refinery, which is this icon on the map, and that will refine the unrefined resources into the resources you need to be able to craft. And then you can also use the pig resources to be able to build things inside of the heap. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the different types of damage that you're able to do. So there are a few different damage types. There are crushing, disease, electricity, fire, ice, humanoid, nature, piercing, poison, slashing, undead, holy. There's lots of different types of damage that you can do. So when you're doing a specific type of damage, what that really does is just kind of modify your damage, your normal damage, into that type. So it's something that can be, resisted against, built against. So I can build specifically piercing resistance. And there's specific abilities and specific classes that lean toward doing specific types of damage. So for instance, the Confessor, their focus is fire damage, right? So the majority of the damage that they're putting out is all fire damage. So that's how you can kind of know what you're doing. So for instance, I have a 10% slashing damage bonus on this character right now. A few tips for damage, especially for, an Alpha Warrior, which is a champion subclass here. You do what is called crushing damage. So you want to make sure you're maximizing the type of damage that you're doing. So you want to have, for instance, a mace, because maces do more crushing damage. And then you also want to make sure you try to get gear on your character that helps buff crushing damage even more. And then your abilities with specific damage types will overwrite your main class's damage. So if I had an ability that did fire damage, that will overwrite the crushing damage that my class does. Holy damage cannot be resisted. It's basically just true damage. The only times that damage do anything a little bit different is on side of quivers for rangers. So for instance, slashing damage on a quiver will increase your execute damage. Piercing adds bleed to your targets. Crushing adds a stun on the third auto attack. So there's many different ways that, damage really affects characters inside of Crowfall. The next thing about, kind of building your character is that everything has a hard cap and a soft cap. Your attribute points all have a soft cap of 200, and you can raise this all the way up to 250 via vessel creation. So once you equip the new vessel, I'm on a level 30, which has a gray vessel equipped to it. If I were to equip a white vessel, which I can because I'm level 30, I would be able to raise my soft caps all the way up to the hard cap, which is 250, and be able to have more strength than you have right now. Your disciplines, while I'm on test right now, I have legendary. They all start off on white. You can upgrade them via the crafting menu based on the type, and it will tell you what you need. You normally need 3 of one type and then soul essence to be able to upgrade your discipline. And as you upgrade it, the stats get better and you continuously add more statistics. So for instance, a scrapper discipline that is just a white or a green won't have plus 5% critical damage or plus 500 damage. So that's one thing, that's one of the progression tasks inside of Crowfall, is upgrading these extra disciplines that your character has. And then another quick tip is you can just unequip your disciplines by moving them down into your inventory and then moving them back up. So if you want to try out different things for your class, say, oh, I don't want to try Paragon anymore on this class, I could just unequip it, put it in my bank. Now these are soul buying to me, so I can't trade them to other players or sell them or drop them. I can only destroy it or use it on my account. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. This video is all about Crowfall Endgame. What do you do once you hit level 30? My name is Dilbo Dabgins. That is Dilbo with a B. I stream every single day over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Dilbo Dabgins at 6 p.m. Eastern. We play a whole lot of Crowfall. So if there's a question you want to ask me directly, make sure you drop a follow over there and come by when I'm live and go ahead and ask me. Also, make sure you subscribe, like, all that crap to this YouTube channel because I got many Crowfall videos coming out explaining many systems and all types of stuff like that. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day and watching this video. And hopefully I can explain to you what Crowfall Endgame is and what to do once you hit level 30, because unlike what some people might think, there's a lot to do in this game once you hit level 30. So what is level 30? Like, what does that even mean, right? So when you start off the game, you're level 1 and you go through the entire new player experience that teaches you Crowfall, teaches you all of the systems, the crafting, the harvesting, the progression systems, vessel making, all types of stuff like that. The outpost, PvP zones, stuff like that. So you'll hit level 30 and that's when you're experiencing like the beginning of Endgame. And I kind of hate calling Crowfall, kind of hate saying that Crowfall has an endgame because it doesn't. It's a sandbox game. It's a you make the game what it is type of game. But true end game, I guess if you want to put like I have beaten Crowfall, that's like 4 or 5 months out from once you've hit level 30. Unless you're joining a guild way late after launch, they might already have a bunch of stuff for you to be able to get to level 35 quickly. So, but I'll explain all that, don't worry. So yeah, when you hit level 30, what you want to do is you want to kind of start experiencing PvP, right? So you want to go into what is called Low Sec in Sky Point. And this is a portal attached to God's Reach. Inside of the God's Reach, underneath the starter worlds tab in the lobby, there's the God Reach world. And inside of those, they will be attached to Low Sec and Sky Point areas. Inside of these areas are where you're going to get your first taste of PvP. In Low Sec, which are the 3 maps that surround Sky Point, those all, when you die, you drop 50% gold, nothing else. So if you have gold on you, you drop 50% of it, nothing else in your inventory. When you're inside Sky Point, you drop 100% of your gold when you die. You know, it kind of makes it a little bit more intense, right? But the harvestables as you get into Sky Point get better, right? So that's kind of why that's like that. It's like, okay, well, you're in Sky Point, so now you can harvest a little bit better materials than you could when you're in Low Sec. Anyways, so that's what you want to do. Once you hit level 30, you want to start going through the progression of getting some gear as far as farming war tribe camps, which are these little yellow houses on your map. And they'll have a level range for the mobs at the camp. And these war tribes will drop gold and sacrifice materials and crafting materials and food and gear. You want to try to get full set of blue gear, really, from war tribe, because what that allows you to do is a full set of blue gear once you hit level 30 is strong enough to make you viable in most PvP fights. Now you're not going to beat everybody. Gear does matter to an extent in this game, but it doesn't matter as much as your player skill does. So you could be a level 30 on blue gear and I could be a level 33 with purple gear, but if you're better than me, you can beat me, right? Anyways, that's kind of getting off topic, but that's what you kind of want to do. You want to start farming inside of Low Sec and Sky Point, getting some PvP under your belt, start understanding how your class works, find a group of maybe your friends, get into some not large scale, but like 5v5s, you know, stuff like that. Start capping outposts and forts, pay attention to the siege windows for all the forts and the keeps. Start fighting for your faction, because at the end of the day, this part of the game is your transition point from normal carrot on the stick questing to sandbox guild versus guild hardcore PvP. That's what this point of the game is. You're transitioning from the normal MMO experience into Crowfall. So you want to start experiencing the fort sieges, experiencing the keep sieges, right? Inside of Sky Point and Low Sec. And the way to do that is to keep an eye on the siege schedule and go and participate. I'm sure at launch there's going to be a lot of new players all running around with their heads cut off, you know, not knowing what they're supposed to be doing. And they're going to be trying, okay, there's a fort for siege. Let's go see what that is. And then, you know, and go and trying to capture it. What you really should do is once you kind of, I'm not saying you do this for months, right? I'm not saying you do that for months or anything. I'm saying maybe like a day, 2 days, you know what I mean? Really what you should be doing is you should be looking for a guild. This game isn't made in a way that you can play by yourself. You're not going to be able to experience more than 10% of the game by yourself. You have to be in a group, at least in a group or a guild, to be able to experience Crowfall at its best and what it is. Crowfall is a PvP hardcore throne war simulator that is balanced and built all around being in a guild. So once you get your first level 30 character and you've practiced in low sec and you've practiced in Sky Point, you got yourself some gear, you got your bank filled with some gold, right? Find yourself a guild. Because then what will happen is that guild will determine what you do next based on the needs of the guild. That's what a good guild would do, I guess. Not all guilds would do that, but I guess a good guild would do that, right? Also, what you could be doing is making multiple characters. So having multiple characters is very important. This is a very alt-friendly game, is what, you know, the terminology from other MMOs would be. It's a very alt-friendly game. You want to have, you know, your main DPS class. You want to have your main maybe solo roaming class for when you don't got any buddies on, but you need to go farm some gold. I'm going to have a character personally for just going to farm war tribes, get gold, or even harvesting by myself, right? Have a healer as well. Everybody needs a healer. I know nobody wants to play healers, but healers are worth their weight in gold in Crowfall. They really are. Guilds will normally give healers everything they want whenever they want it just because they play healer. So if you're a healer main, man, you're going to be set up for life in Crowfall. So make sure, you know, you get a few characters to 30, you know, kind of getting your repertoire across multiple characters, because what people don't realize is that when you start learning a class, you'll get better at your main class by playing other classes, because you'll understand how to fight them from playing them, right? I mean, I have 900 hours in this game and there's still classes that I don't fully understand, because there's so many different ways to build characters and there's so many different outcomes that a character could be. I'll fight somebody, I'll be like, what the hell is that? I don't know how they did that. So yeah, so make sure you try to get some more characters to level 30. And I'm going to have a guide on how to fast level to 30 rather than having to do the whole entire NPE again. I'm going to have a guide for that out as well. It should be on my YouTube channel. So, and if it's not on my YouTube channel right now, it will be before launch. So make sure you go check that out. So you don't have to do the entire NPE again. You can get to level 30 within like an hour or 2 hours, something like that. The next thing you should really try to do is like start harvesting or crafting. Now you don't have to harvest or craft in this game. You can literally just be, you know, a gold maker and just use gold to buy everything you want. But most guilds need harvesters at the minimum to be able to get the entire guild geared up for the end game, or for guild versus guild, for dregs. You need your entire guild outfitted with good gear, with good vessels, all types of stuff. So being a harvester at the minimum is good, right? So I personally I'll have multiple different harvesters. I'll have multiple different characters that all harvest different things. I'll have one for harvesting wood, one for harvesting body parts, one for harvesting ore, and one for harvesting stone. Each one of those characters will focus on that harvest, and that's kind of like the professions in this game. Now you don't have to do that, but I do suggest getting at least one character with a harvesting discipline on it and start progressing that harvesting discipline, right? That's a really good thing to do, especially at launch before Dregs is out, is starting to progress your harvesters or your crafters and getting those disciplines to higher levels so you can harvest more efficiently and craft better gear. And I'm going to have a whole video explaining harvesting and crafting as well. It should be linked below in the eye or something like that. So, and that's a whole, that video would be like this video would be like an hour long if I went into that right now. So I can't do that right now, but that's a good thing to do as well once you hit level 30. eventually after launch, what's going to happen, and my bet is probably a week after launch, is we're going to get our first campaign. Campaigns are a start and end date type of server that has a winning condition that guilds go into, and they compete at a hardcore level to be able to win materials, gold, mounts, all types of stuff, and honestly bragging status for your guild, right? So once you hit level 30 and you've kind of done everything that I've already talked about, and you're going to go in with your guild, you're going to go into dregs, and then you're going to start experiencing what the hardcore part of Crowfall is. And in my opinion, the best part, it's the open world dregs, the castle sieges, the keep sieges, the conquest system, the divine favor system, all of that. The end game of this game it's not I'm going to do this raid, and then I gotta wait for the next expansion. The end game of this game is a consistent loop of get better things to fight better people, to get better things to fight better people, to get better things to fight better people. And there's really not an end to that, because unless everybody in the game hits level 35 and everybody in the game has all legendary gear, that would be the only part where that would end. But still, you would still have the bragging rights of being able to beat everybody else in the server, because at the end of the day, it is a PvP game, and it's not a PvE game. It is a PvP game, and the game is about fighting each other and proving that I am better than you. So how to get to level 35? So that's probably that's one thing you guys are going to want to know is, once you hit level 30, that's not the end. You can get to level 35. And the way to do that is via vessel creation. Vessels are really, it's a piece of gear, but it's literally like a body of a character. So a little bit of lore for you. You're a crow. Your account is a crow. You as the player are a crow, spirit crow, and your spirit goes into the character that you're playing and becomes that character and fights, right? So literally your character, the body of your character is a piece of gear, and you can upgrade your character. So once you hit level 30, you'll have access to be able to equip a white vessel, and that white vessel will then allow you to be able to rank all the way up to level 31. It'll also increase your attribute caps from 200 all the way up to 250. So every single attribute in the game has a soft cap of 200 and a hard cap of 250. It will increase all of your attribute caps and increase all of your base attribute stats. So that's the real, progression part of Crowfall, is getting to the point where you're up to level 35 with these vessels. So getting that first white vessel in level 31 is super easy to do. You can literally buy the vessel from an NPC. I don't suggest doing that because they're crap, better than you want to get it crafted from a necromancer. But that's really the progression. That's really what all of the guilds are working towards, and all the harvesters and everything. They're all working towards getting their vessels and getting their necromancers to a high enough level to be able to make really good vessels, and having those stats on your character based on the vessel that you have equipped. It's really it's a very long loop. It's not we're going to be done in 2 weeks type of thing. It is a very long process, because it takes a lot to be able to get to the point where you're able to craft legendary vessels, which that is the very end type of vessel that you can make, and finally allows you to unlock level 35. So that's something that you can focus on if you really want to. If you want to become a necromancer and get the necromancy additives, get the necromancy disciplines, the grave digging disciplines, and really be like your guild's necromancer, that's a great progression too, if you're interested in that. Really, what is Crowfall Endgame? The answer to that is, it's what you want it to be. And I know that's hard for some people to be able to wrap their head around, because a lot of gamers nowadays are used to having goals. This is the goal. This is what you're trying to do. I'm trying to beat this raid so I can increase my gear score. Then I can beat this raid so I can increase my gear score. And then I get max gear score and I wait for the next reason to have a higher gear score, right? Or something like that. I'm using arbitrary things. I'm sure there are games that work like that, but I'm not calling out any specific thing. The point of the Crowfall endgame is to give you as the player the ability to do what you want to do in the game. If you want to become the best harvester or the best crafter, that's your end game. Your end game isn't competing in massive 100v100 battles. Your end game is crafting the best shit so your guild stomps all the other guilds, right? The end game of this game is it's a sandbox. You can make it what you want to make it. And the beauty of the systems in the game that allow for all these different rule sets for dregs. So you can have a dregs where you can't import any gear and you just start off fresh inside of a dreg. So in that instance, the end game is trying to progress as fast as possible in this limited amount of time that this world exists. There's also, you know, very many different types of game types that could be in these campaigns in the dregs that allow you to change what you consider endgame to be. And that's one of the beautiful things about Crowfall is it doesn't force you to do things that you don't want to do. It doesn't. You can make it by doing anything that you can play this game the way you want to play it and still be viable, right? And still be good enough at the game to make a difference. So I hope this video helped. I know I kind of jumped around and went over things because there's just so many things to the end game. Like I said in the beginning, I don't really like calling it end game, but there's so many things to this game that are considered the end game. It's hard to limit or organize it into a single video. So and things are going to continue to expand past launch as well. It's going to continue to get bigger and bigger and add more and more things. So make sure you guys are staying on top of it. Make sure you come over to my Twitch channel, hit a follow, ask me any questions that I maybe didn't answer in this video very well. Let me know, or, you know, down in the comments, I'll reply to everything there as well. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're interested, I got a 10% discount code as well down in the description, so you can buy Crowfall and everything in the Crowfall store and everything for 10% off. So thank you so much for watching this, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace and love, everybody. Peace and love.
It's me, Kevin Hart. You're Kevin's club now. Holiday season is about to be lit. Lit, lit, lit.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for clicking on this video. So my name is Dilbo Dabgins. That's Dilbo with a B, and I stream MMOs, right? I'm an MMO content creator, but mainly up until, you know, this point, I've been streaming Crowfall. I have about 1,000 hours in Crowfall. And I've recently started streaming New World and getting into New World, and I've been enjoying it. And, you know, the Crowfall developers, they noticed that I was playing both and I was streaming both. So what they did is they reached out to me to be able to make a YouTube video that kind of explained the differences between these two videos. This is a sponsored video by Crowfall, but they don't have any input on what I'm saying in this video. All they wanted to do is see this video before I put it out, just to make sure I'm representing Crowfall in the proper way, basically not saying it's a mobile game, right? So that's what this video is. It's not to say that one game is better than the other. This video is all about just explaining the differences between these two games and why, really, personally, to me, I don't really think they should be compared too much after this point, right? I'm going to go into 6 major parts here. I'm going to talk about the style of MMO that New World and Crowfall are, the worlds and the servers that you can play the game in. I'm going to talk about the PvP because that's mainly what I focus on as a content creator. I can focus on the PvP stuff, the profession systems in both of these games, the community, what kind of you know, community you're going to be playing with, and then the end game. And I want to explain the differences between the two. And, you know, maybe if you're on the fence on which one you want to play, or maybe you're just trying to figure out what the difference of Crowfall is to New World, or vice versa, this video will help explain that. Before we get into this, make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, leave a like, go over to my Twitch channel, drop a follow. I stream every single day, 6 p.m. Eastern. We're playing a whole lot of Crowfall, and we're going to be playing a whole lot of New World when that comes out on August 31st. So I'll see you guys over there. Thanks. All right, so let's start off with the style of MMO. What is the difference between New World and Crowfall? So New World is a traditional style MMO. New World didn't start off that way. It actually started off more of a survival style, Rust style game, but over the years, they've transitioned what the game is into more of a traditional style. You know, you have one server that you join in an open world, and in this world is all these other players, and there's a bunch of different activities you can partake in. There's PvP, there's PvE, there's professions, there's dungeons, there's high-level areas, high-level content. It's all contained inside of one world, just like, you know, ESO, World of Warcraft, you know, all those traditional style MMOs. Now, it's a little bit different because it offers action-style combat, which I personally like a lot more. So it's kind of closer to ESO than World of Warcraft in that way. But I also want to say New World is kind of taking a new approach to the gameplay. And I think that's because where it came from was it was never really supposed to be what it is right now. It was supposed to be more of a hardcore survival style, hardcore PvP game. And they transitioned it into what it is now, which is, you know, kind of a game for everybody. But you see left over, what you see is you see the aspects of the combat and the aspects of the gameplay that you normally wouldn't see inside of an MMO. For instance, you know, in New World, you don't have a huge hotbar, right? You don't have 10 abilities on one hotbar. You have 3 per weapon that you equip, and you only have 2 weapons. So it's everything's a lot more simpler. Everything's a lot, I want to say, easier to wrap your head around than a normal traditional MMO. So that's kind of where New World kind of separates itself from what traditional MMOs are. And I personally think it's great. I personally think that the formula that they have is a good foundation to be able to build upon. So where does that differ than Crowfall, right? So Crowfall is more of a action combat PvP focused MMO, while, you know, New World's traditional, so it offers kind of something for everybody. Crowfall tries to focus hard on a niche, and what that niche is a competitive PvP player niche. So they want to provide an experience to you. They want you to be able to go into the game and compete on a level that you don't get inside of New World. All of the entire game of Crowfall is all around a loop of improving your characters and improving your guild and improving your experience to get better and better at Crowfall. Crowfall has way more abilities that you can choose. They have a class system, while New World is just, you know, the weapons. Crowfall has 11 classes, and each one of those classes can have 3 subclasses, and each one of those subclasses can have 3 domains. So there's a really, really diverse way to play Crowfall, and it's a very deep experience. While New World's kind of like top level, you know, you have all of these weapons that you can use. It doesn't really get any deeper than that. Crowfall allows you to really play the game in any way that you want to play it. And that's why Crowfall is considered a sandbox MMO. And what that means is that you can really experience Crowfall in any way that you want to experience it, inside of the confines of what the developers have created for you. So if the developers have created a PvP focused game, you have to compete in this world and use the systems that the developers have created for you. But it's a sandbox, so you can do whatever you want in this world. If you want to be an assassin and just solo roam around the world by yourself and just try to become like the best assassin in the game and just, you know, run around, kill solo gatherers and take their stuff and then run away, right? That's what you can do. So Crowfall kind of gives you all of the toys in a sandbox and says, hey, make your own story. And it has all of these systems inside of it as far as how you can compete with your guild. So Crowfall is very guild focused. Everything in the game is around you working with other players to be able to progress. And everything is designed around being inside of a guild. All of the systems are designed around helping your guild compete and your guild get better. And you're just kind of a cog in that machine. So at the end of the day, the 2 different styles of New World and Crowfall. New World is a theme park, a traditional theme park MMO, and Crowfall is a sandbox where you're able to experience the game in a way that you want to experience it, while Crowfall says, hey, here's a bunch of different stuff that you can choose what you want to do, but it's defined for you, right? If you want to progress, you have to do it this way, right? While Crowfall kind of doesn't hold your hand as much. It allows you to kind of make your own path in the world and make your own story. All right, so next on the list was worlds and servers, and I wanted to make sure I talked about this because mainly Crowfall does it in a different way than every other MMO. So really, this is going to be mainly talking about Crowfall in this segment, but New World does it kind of the normal way that all other MMOs do it, where you have a character, you join a server, and the entire game and your entire experience is confined in that server.